Yeah, let's move on to the player ratings. Let's start off with Antonin Kinsky. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. Definitely his worst performance in a Spurs shirt. Obviously not a big sample size to go on, but it feels like with Kinsky, he came in at 100 million miles an hour in that first game against Liverpool, and his performances have been like gradually regressing game by game, to be honest. And with a 21-year-old keeper, maybe that first game was a bit of an overperformance from him coming in and really trying to show what he's about. And I think, yeah, we need Vicario back in goal. But look, no doubt about it, Kinsky has got, unbelievable future ahead of him. But maybe he's not that keeper that we thought he was in the first game, but like right now. But yeah, on yesterday's performance, I thought a lot of the goals were down to him. The penalty, I thought, was really poor. And yeah, I think it all kind of started with that clash of, was it a clash of heads or,
with Davies.
Yeah, with Davies, like quite early on in the game. And he just never seemed to recover. He just seemed to be a bit shot to pieces yesterday, and he was really nervy coming out for his crosses as well, which you don't really associate with him so far from what we've seen.
Yeah, I thought it was a really poor day for him. I don't think it changed my mind in terms of how good a keeper he is potentially and how good he can be. I think he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, making your first appearance at Anfield when you've come from the Czech League, it's a big experience, and everyone has to go through it, especially as a 21-year-old goalkeeper. It's they put a lot of pressure on you, but unfortunately he didn't deal with it well. I thought, to be honest, he had his hand in all 4 goals, in my opinion. I'm not saying I don't think they're all down to him. I think as a collective the defence wasn't good enough, but if we're talking just about Kinsky himself, should have probably saved the first goal. Wasn't right in the corner from Gakpo. Could have done better with that. Second goal, rash coming out to Nunes. Didn't have to give away a penalty in that position. Tried to get the ball, but I don't think he needed to. Third goal, again, more to do with the defence, but I thought his attempt to save it was weird. He just kind of didn't really dive for it. He kind of dived over it and didn't really get close to it. And I thought his positioning for the corner for the 4th goal was really perplexing and pretty much gave Van Dijk an open goal. So as much as we've praised him since he's come in, I thought it was a really poor one. And yeah, as you said, some other nervy moments. It really summed up when there was a big looping cross from I think it was Szoboszlai, and there's no one around him. He could have easily just claimed that ball when it's looping up in the air. And for some reason, even though there was no one around him, under no pressure, he decided to punch it and give away a corner rather than catch it and relieve the pressure. And when I saw that, I was like, he's clearly very, very nervous, because usually he would have just claimed that ball.
Yeah, what I was saying, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a poor keeper or anything, but what I'm saying is that after that Liverpool game in the first leg, we're all saying like, wow, Kinsky, he's better than Vicario. Maybe he's going to challenge Vicario for that number 1 spot, but he's just not there yet, is he? He's a 21-year-old keeper.
Yeah, I think Vicario probably would have done better with a few of those goals.
Yeah. Moving on to Archie Gray, 5s all round for Archie. Started at right back. I think he played a bit of left back, played a bit of centre back yesterday, all over the shop. And I think when he was at full back, both right and left back, I mean, he lost his man on a few occasions. But look, he's an 18-year-old trying to, drive us into a final at Anfield, and he came under a lot of pressure yesterday, and it was like the Liverpool attack against our defence, and he was a part of that. I don't think he was the worst out of the lot, but he definitely could have done better on a few occasions.
Yeah, I think obviously Gakpo gave him a tough time. Gakpo got the first goal. Probably Gray could have done better, tucking inside and trying to block that shot. I thought on occasion he did okay. Wasn't terrible in possession, but again wasn't helped, I think, by the midfield and as well. I think he played 3 positions, didn't he, yesterday? He started off a right back, then made 2 subs, went to left back, and then when Mikey Moore came on, he moved into centre back. So had to move all over the shop. So there's no surprise that maybe he didn't have the most consistent performance, but that's just how it's been for Gray this season. Yeah, I'm not going to be too harsh on him, but it wasn't particularly great.
Kevin Danso on his debut at Anfield, 6s all round for Danso, and I was impressed with what I saw from him, to be fair. Really aggressive, putting his body on the line, the amount of blocks and challenges he was making, particularly in the opening 20 minutes, half an hour. I thought he was brilliant, showed some quality on the ball as well. There was that one moment, though, in early on where he played a bit of a hospital ball and let Liverpool spring on us a little bit. But yeah, I thought I think this guy's going to be a player for us now. I like what I saw yesterday.
Yeah, albeit it was a 4-0 defeat, I actually thought he came in and actually settled in like fairly well. I mean, obviously you've got to create that relationship with your centre-back partner. That only comes with time, and obviously the more he plays with us, the more settled he will be. But I thought he definitely did show potential. There was even moments in the second half when we're pushing for a goal. He almost was like a number 10 at times. He was coming forward and trying to make stuff happen and was looking really comfortable on the ball. He played in the first half, one beautiful pass from the centre-back position out wide to Decky, and actually it created an opening which Decky had a shot from. And I thought, okay, that's the kind of pass we need from our centre-backs. So I was like looking at that pass thinking, no way like someone like Dragic would have been capable of that pass. It was really, really good. But obviously, having just joined the team, he still wasn't quite up to speed, and I thought positionally in a few of the goals was quite suspect. The first one should have cleared that ball from Salah, the ball from Salah. The third one as well wasn't particularly great. I thought was all at sea. I thought the second one I think he was the one who let Nunes run off him, albeit Kinsky was quite rash. So as much as he looked good and there was potential there, still a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Moving on to Ben Davies, 4s all round for Ben, and I think it was him that let Van Dijk go for the corner goal. I mean, you can't be letting Van Dijk have a free header there. It's just nowhere near good enough. And again, like in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, he did well trying to stem the tide and not letting Liverpool in. But then after that, I just felt like he just came under increasing pressure and ended up being a bit of an open book.
Yeah, he struggled badly, I thought, Ben Davies. I thought Liverpool kind of targeted him in a sense on that side and just kept trying to get him behind him. And I thought he really struggled. I thought on the ball as well. I mean, the stats show he completed 1 out of 7 long passes. That goes to show how much he struggled on the ball. Usually he's a lot better with his passing, and he wasn't able to kind of implement that in this game. So really, really poor, I thought, from Davies.
Jed Spence up next, 6s all round for Spence. I thought he was Spurs' best player on the day. Started off at left back, then moved to right wing later on in the game. And I felt like he was the only player willing to actually get on the ball and drive forward and actually have a go at Liverpool. And, he did have a shot off in the second half where, he created that chance for himself. And he was the only one looking like willing to take on a man and willing to have a bit of, spirit in the game, essentially. And he was our best player yesterday, and he's probably been our best player over the course of the last month as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought another decent showing from Spence. He was one of the only ones who looked confident when he was on the ball. He was fighting. He put in a few strong challenges as well, where other players were kind of losing their 50-50s. Obviously, for the first goal, could he have stopped that cross from Salah potentially? That's obviously one criticism, but I thought by and large, I don't think it was Salah who was the one really hurting us by and large. I think it was the other forwards, albeit Salah was playing quite a creative role. I thought from a goal scoring role, I know he scored the penalty, but I don't think it was Salah who was the one danger man. And I thought, he obviously played right wing for a bit, where even when he did that, again, he was looking one of our more dangerous players when in the forward line, albeit it was a bit of a weird decision to play him on the wing. He had that one moment where he squared up Robertson, found a yard and then got a shot off, but unfortunately was over the bar. That was one of our few opportunities of the game. So I thought Spence was one of the few players who treated it, was acting like it was a semi-final. Shame the other players didn't.
Yeah. Bissouma up next, 2s all round for Yves Bissouma. And I'm getting seriously fed up of this guy. I really am. And I've been saying it probably I've been saying it for a while, to be honest. But it just seems in all the big games that we play, or the majority of them anyway, he just lets these games pass him by. He makes mistakes that end up in goals against us. And yesterday was no different. The first goal comes from his sloppy pass. Exactly the same against Arsenal. Exactly the same against Chelsea. And he just wasn't at it. It was that our midfield was so easily bypassed, and with 3 defensive and holding midfielders in there, you expect a lot better. You expect to have a bit of presence in the middle of the park from 2 of them are really experienced players. But on Bissouma, just so many sloppy moments in the middle of the park, and you need players like him to really stand up and to be counted for. And he did anything but that. So another really poor display from Bissouma, which is a shame because he can do it against the likes of the Brentfords and the Tamworths and all these teams. He looks like a really good player in those games, but then you ask him to do it in a big game and he just goes missing.
Yeah, he's a passenger, I thought, and again, these sloppy moments just really undermine any sort of like whatever game plan or whatever we want to do when he's doing these stupid, brainless things. And that pass for the first goal was one of them. It's another real unforced error, which goes on to what is turning out to be quite an extensive list of errors in big moments in big games, which is costing Tottenham dearly. And I thought it was another case of that yesterday. And I just thought overall on the ball, complete passenger, wasn't getting on the ball, wasn't making good, incisive passes through the lines and asking different questions on Liverpool. He was just nowhere to be seen, and off the ball as well. Just wasn't fighting for the team, I thought, enough, and wasn't really protecting that back line as much as we know he can. So shocking, I thought, from Bissouma, and really, really poor.
Yeah, and another culprit in the middle of the park was Rodrigo Bentancur. 3s all round for Rodrigo, and we've sat here and given him so much praise since his return. He's put in some really good performances. Unfortunately, he saved this shocker for our biggest game of the season, and way too passive. Not winning his duels, not aggressive enough, not driving us up the pitch like he has been doing in the past couple of weeks. And again, like Bissouma, really sloppy on the ball.
Yeah, and I thought positionally was just kind of all at sea, like was lacking discipline in this game, I thought, a lot of the time. And he was rushing into things and was rushing into duels where he was losing them, and it was putting us under pressure. I thought on the ball, passes were sloppy. He was trying to pass in between the lines, but they weren't incisive, they weren't accurate, and they kept getting intercepted, and it kept putting Tottenham under pressure. I'm guessing if you look at that midfield three, he was probably one of the players maybe tasked with getting forward a bit more, but wasn't able to do it at all, and wasn't able to. I don't remember any time he was in the Liverpool final third. Up until obviously second half, he moved into the lone six with Decky and Bergvall ahead of him. Maybe it was a bit better than Bissouma, but not much better, I thought. And really, really poor.
Pape up next, 3s all round for Pape, and I think we're being a bit accustomed to these Pape displays now over the past month or couple of months. And I don't know, it's whether he's being overplayed and he's knackered, but he is actually full of energy and full of running. But when he gets on the ball, it's just there's no quality whatsoever from him, and it's really frustrating because when he was going through that really good moment earlier on in the season, he was showing so much quality on the ball. I know he scored in the last game, but he was getting on the ball, he was driving forward, he was playing really nice passes, he was getting on the scoring sheets, getting assists, and it's a shadow of that player at the moment.
Yeah, he's been on poor form for a while. Obviously against Brentford, he came on, scored, and you're thinking, okay, is this the start of him returning to form? But got to start in this one. I'm not sure why maybe he didn't start Bergvall ahead of him at least, or one of Bissouma and Bentancur, but he didn't. He went for Sarr, and it led to Spurs just having... We had the ball, and it's almost like Bentancur and Sarr didn't want to get close to each other and do get some passing patterns going. It's almost like they all wanted to break into the space and run away from the ball and not take responsibility on it. And I thought Sarr as well was culpable of this, and I thought he was just losing it constantly. He had no quality on the ball, wasn't able to keep hold of the ball, and really lacked any sort of quality.
Yeah. Decky up next. Him gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. I did think out of the 3 that started, probably our most dangerous of the lot, but it doesn't really say much because they were just tragic, the other players. And with Decky, he's clearly running on empty at the moment. He was on the right, he was in the middle, didn't really have too much of an impact. And he won 2 duels out of 12 that he contested. And when Decky's, at full physicality, he's probably contesting about 25 to 30 duels in a game. This one's only 12 and he only won 2 of them. So, I mean, clearly he's just missing. And I've been saying it for weeks now. He's just clearly missing that physical edge. And when he loses that physical edge, he loses like a big portion of his game.
Agreed. And it was another game where he looks like, again, he's getting bullied off the ball. He can't hang on to it. I thought he looked a bit better in the second half when he moved central. I thought he was able to kind of get around the pitch a bit better and kind of link with his teammates. But I thought on the right-hand side in that first half, he had one moment where he had a shot from 25 yards, which was his only moment of the game, really, and it went well over the bar anyway. Apart from that, again, really struggled to impact the game in a positive way. And again, I think he's really struggling playing on the right-hand side so consistently, whereas, we know who's flying in the middle, playing in the middle. We just need to find a way of getting him back there. But now Richarlison's injury, until Johnson's back or Odebear's back, he's going to have to play there.
Yeah. Richarlison up next, falls all round for Rishi, and yeah, lasted what, 45 minutes. I think he went off just on the 45-minute
stoppage
mark.
time.
Yeah. And look, he had little next to no service. He was putting himself about, and he looked like he was up for the battle when he was on the pitch. But
Got elbowed.
yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Like, Van Dijk should have been sent off. He should have been sent off. Not to say that. Look, I'm not discounting the performance, but you know, if it is 10 against 11, it would be a very, very different game, particularly with Van Dijk going off. But it doesn't excuse the performance. But he should have been sent off, Van Dijk. He really should have. And look, Richarlison, he was putting himself about a bit, but there was no quality and there was no service to him.
Yeah, agreed. I thought a few times that first half, on the few occasions we forayed forward into their half, it was him leading the charge, and it was pretty much just him and Son against the whole backline a lot of the time, and really struggled to kind of get any sort of advantage in those situations. I thought Van Dijk did deal with him by and large quite easily. There was a bit of back and forth between him and Van Dijk during the game. There was a moment where obviously Van Dijk elbows him. I think Van Dijk was a very lucky boy not to have seen red for that moment. Then there was a moment there, Richarlison's on the ground and Van Dijk puts his hand. I don't know if you see this, Van Dijk put his hand out.
Yeah, I saw
and then Richarlison puts his hand out and Van Dijk goes and runs the other way. So there's a bit of a to and froing from Van Dijk and Richarlison. Then obviously what happened was the most gutting of all, and that's him getting injured. And another calf injury. You saw how he battered the ground when he went down, and in frustration, knowing that he's tweaked yet another, he got another muscle injury off the back of so many injuries he's had during his time here. Must have been massively frustrating. Probably what's also even the more frustrating is, like, we've just got a new striker in, so we're just going to be able to start rotating him, and he's just picked up another injury again, and all of a sudden that possibility is gone. So I feel for him. But it's just another injury in a long line of injuries, and you know, it can't carry on.
Yeah. And last but not least, the starting 11 is Son Heung-min, falls all round for Sonny, and yeah, I mean, he just couldn't get in the game at all. You know, he's usually a real big danger at Anfield, but we just couldn't seem to muster up anything for him. You know, usually he's such a threat in behind. There was none of that. I thought he could have done a bit more in coming back in defence and helping out the team. And yeah, just really poor, and he basically created the only bit of quality that we did have going forward, and hit the bar from a tight angle. But apart from that, he was pretty much a ghost. Didn't really see him.
Yeah, disappointing. There was one moment, I haven't seen a replay, so I don't know if it was offside or not, but there was one moment in the first half, Kinsky played a beautiful long ball to him, and he was actually one-on-one if he took it in his stride, and he takes a poor touch, and it goes through to the keeper. I don't know if it would have been offside or not, because I haven't seen a replay, but that could have been a big moment in the game. Obviously, he did hit the bar late on with I think it was at 3-0 at that point. He hits the bar, I think it would have been with 50 minutes to go, so maybe it gives us a glimmer of hope if he scores that, but it would have been a great goal if that goes in from a tight angle, so it wasn't exactly a good chance, but he created that. And then I think in stoppage time right at the end of the game, he had another shot from 25 yards, which was only just over, so that was like a decent moment. So, you know, probably of our, I don't know how many shots we actually had in general, 5 shots, I think three of them came from Son, I think, but unfortunately, you know, in this kind of game, 2 of them came from Son. In this kind of game, you know, from your captain, we need more from him. And he's come under fire a bit from a lot of people and pundits saying he's not a captain. He's showed he's not a captain in this game. I mean, again, I know it's, you know, you have to look at the leadership group for sure when we have a performance like this. But I think piling on a one player is a bit unfair. But yeah, look, he's the leader in the team. He's part of the leadership group. So when things are, as a collective are that bad, he's obviously got to take some of the brunt of it.
Yeah, I hate going after Sonny because of so much what he's done for this football club for so many years. But yesterday wasn't good enough. But it wasn't just him; it was everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up is Matisse Tell, who came on for Richarlison just before half-time. 5s all round for Tell. I mean, we saw flashes of a few things that he could do. I thought good pressing, a few flashes on the ball, but ultimately he couldn't really make anything happen. That's the reality, and it's just hard to see when he's a 19-year-old making his debut for the club and he's trying to, you know, basically shout at the team to get them off the pitch. That should never be the case of a 19-year-old making his debut at Anfield in a semi-final. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, like I said, a few flashes, but nothing much in it.
Yeah, I thought there was a few moments of like link play where I even thought there was a few moments where he was looking for like a give and go, and he was looking for like some short interchanges, and other players weren't really on his wavelength. And I thought, all right, this looks quite kind of nice. He was coming, getting the ball to feet, looked quite good technically, but unfortunately we weren't able to really see his best qualities in terms of him in the final third, him getting shots off him, taking people on. Unfortunately, we just didn't have enough of the ball for him to show that, and it was really a struggle for him to get in the game. There was one moment where he was pressing really well further up the pitch, and we did win the ball, but then all of a sudden, a few seconds later, the ball was back with the keeper instead of really going for Liverpool at that moment, and that must have frustrated him because he did well to win the ball back, but unfortunately came to nothing. Look, 45 minutes against the best team in the league, when also we're losing at the time. It's not a great situation, so I'm not going to make too many judgments, but I guess there was a few kind of flashes.
Yeah. Bergvall, who came on at half-time, I think it was at half-time?
No, he came 57.
57? Yeah, Sim gives him a 6, I gave him a 5. I mean, he showed a lot more than what any other of the midfielders do. He gave us a bit more presence in the middle of the park. I felt he should have started, but yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't a great performance by any stretch of the imagination, but he just showed a lot more than what our other midfielders did.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he was decent when he came on. I thought showed for the ball, looked a lot more comfortable on the ball. Is it because we were 2-0 down at that point and maybe Liverpool were maybe allowing us to have a bit more of the ball potentially? But I thought Bergvall came on and kind of settled a bit in midfield, but obviously he as well maybe left us a bit more open, because that's when Liverpool created the bulk of their opportunities when he was on the pitch. So maybe defensively he could have done better, but I thought on the ball looked a lot better than the other midfielders.
Pedro Porro, Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 4. I mean, I really thought he should have started the game, but look, he came on. We needed a bit more creativity from that side, and he made one decent pass, but apart from that, I don't think he impacted the game too much.
I thought his link-up play on the right-hand side was a bit better. I thought we were able to progress the ball a bit better down that side when he was on. But unfortunately, yeah, it was a bit too little too late at that point, and the game was already getting away from us. But yeah, I thought really, really poor from... well, not really poor, but wasn't great from Porro.
Ange Postecoglou up next. Sim.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Sim gives him an 8.
Maybe as a time. Is that what I said? Sorry, that was a mistake. I also gave him a
Sim Postecoglou at his finest.
I gave him an 8.
Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 3.
Give him an 8 because we needed that 3 week in March. And he done well. No, I'm joking. I gave him a 3. I must have been a typo, or I forgot to send in the right thing, but that was wrong. But yeah, Ange, obviously, I thought the starting lineup, not really sure that was correct. Again, I understand he's hamstrung with options, but again, if you're arguing that we should have taken the game more to Liverpool under the circumstances, then the lineup should reflect that, and I think he should have probably started tried to get Decky in the middle, or tried to get Bergvall in the team. So I think that was probably wrong of him. The changes were a bit strange, obviously putting Spence on the right, and I think the changes obviously negatively impacted us because we got worse. But yeah, I think wasn't obviously the fact that we played the way we did was a large part down to Ange, and I think he admitted himself after the game maybe the messaging was a bit mixed in terms of he was saying he was trying to imprint on the team that we need to defend properly and we need to make sure that we don't give up our lead so easily, but also he didn't want us to neglect how we play, and we ended up doing that. Yeah,
it's kind of a bit unforgivable to have mixed messaging in the build up to a game of this magnitude. It really is. Like what he was saying after the press conference about wanting to attack and wanting to take the game to Liverpool and play like we usually play, and the lineup that he chose is just a bit contradictory. I mean, when have we ever started with 3 defensive midfielders in the middle of the park and not Pedro Porro as well? And I felt like if we were going to play sitting deep a bit and trying to counter-attack Liverpool, we needed to have Pedro Porro in the side to use his ball-playing ability. I mean, how many times have we seen Pedro Porro being able to play those balls in behind for either Sonny or whoever it is to run onto and really catch them out? And if you're going to play like that, you need to play Pedro Porro. So I thought team lineup was off, and the in-game management as well. We just didn't have anything in the game, and you got to have a a big look at the manager as to why that happened. So we lost 4-0, tragic display, and yeah, I'm ready to burn the whole thing down.
Burn down the ground.
But yeah, that is your player ratings.